As they come into the final furlong, American Pharaoh, firing line, not done yet. And these two come into the final 16th. It's American Pharaoh in front, firing line. Dortmund is third, Frosted is fourth. Coming to the finish, American Pharaoh and Victor Espinosa have won the Kentucky Derby.
Welcome to the Paddock Pass with Brian Mariano on 104.5 The Team.
The time has come, ladies and gentlemen. The fastest 2 minutes in sports are this weekend, and we will be joined by TVG horse racing analyst Todd Schrupp later in the program. But we are joined now in studio by Jeff Levac, host of the Levac and Wolf Show, 2 to 7 on 104.5 The Team.
Hello.
And their producer and horse racing analyst, Tom Gozlowski. What's going on, guys?
Hey, man.
Are you officially a horse racing analyst? Is that like an official title?
As long as I get things right. Then if I get them wrong, it get worked down to junior analyst, then assistant analyst. Then
well, I think you've worked your way up to analyst after talking last year about how, American Pharaoh paid for your rent for 3 months. So
best roommate I've ever had.
Two of the three people in this room had to deal with the IRS over horse racing last year. The one who didn't, the one who took advice from the other two. Try to figure that out for me.
You sound very bitter.
I'm a little bitter.
You sound a little bitter.
Well, when you said the fastest 2 minutes, I thought you'd talk to my ex-wife, and then we weren't going to be talking about horse racing at all. So I got nervous right off the rip, so I apologize. I'll calm down.
Wait, what's her number? Okay, anyway. No.
For a good time. Never mind. No, that's a joke. I love you.
All right, guys. Kentucky Derby's here. It's the most wide-open Derby in recent memory, although 34% of favorites have won the Derby in its 141 runnings, including the past 2 seasons. This year's going to be different. I think so. What are your guys feeling on the race? Go ahead, guys.
This is not a cop-out, but it's just the truth for me. It's not Nyquist as dominant or has been as impressive as horse that we've seen the past years. Like American Pharaoh last year, there was something about that horse initially off prep race where you thought, that is the horse to beat, even though the field was pretty, what people thought maybe one of the better fields we'd seen in 15 years leading up to the Pharaoh race. California Chrome, in that race he ran, he was a dominant force, and he looked great in the Derby. My confidence level comparison to Chrome and Pharaoh is not as high this year with Nyquist. So I feel like this is going to be a wide open Derby and things are going to happen that are going to throw people's exactas, tries, and supers way off.
Yeah, anytime you have this many horses, anything can happen. And let me just preface this by saying the majority of my horse racing knowledge outside of actual Saratoga comes from just talking to people like Andy Serling, like Barry Abrams, like those guys. So when I look at this group of horses, I mean, 22 horses. What's the chances all 22 show up? Like you don't scratch by now, right? If there's a scratch, something seriously went wrong at this point, correct?
Well, at this point, we're taping this podcast. It's 10:40 on Friday. So at this point, there are no more scratches to be had. So if a horse does scratch, they'll just take the horses out. They won't add any more in. That's why you're seeing the two also eligibles there, 21 and 22. So if, God forbid, something happens, before 6:45 tomorrow, they will just take the horse out. They won't add the other two in.
So I can't just have fun talking about cherry wine for the next 20
Listen,
minutes?
no. Honestly, and I've talked to a lot of friends in the horse racing industry, if Cherry Wine would have gotten into this race, he would have been a player. He was one that had a lot of the wise guys talking to be one that could come into the triples and supers if you're playing, but unfortunately now he's not running. My horse is going to be Mo Heyman. I love Mo Heyman. He won 3 races in a row, big races. Then the way I'm feeling, I'm throwing out the Florida Derby. I don't think he liked the good going. I think Nyquist just controlled that race. I don't think he really had much of a chance when they hit the quarter pole. And I'm just going to throw that race out. And he's been working lights out at Churchill Downs. I'm going Mo Heyman right now. Where are you feeling, guys?
I know this is probably because it is Derby weekend. We may have more casual horse racing fans listening to this podcast in comparison to other weeks because, look, people are going to go out.
I'm sitting right here?
No. They're going to go out and try to make big money on the Derby, and it's a huge payout if you figure it out.
That was kind of a sideways shot at you there, Levac.
I'm a casual. Like you guys sit here with the racing forums and this and that and the other thing. I'm like, I know the breeding on that horse, I know the jockey, and I know the trainer, and the name's cool. I'm going to bet that horse.
What I was going to do was make an analogy with Mo Heyman to another athlete in sports. So think of a younger LeBron James when it comes to Mo Heyman.
What?
The biggest criticism about LeBron James early on in his career was that he couldn't make the big shot. He folded in the clutch. When the big game came, LeBron James wasn't able to step up when it mattered most. That's what it looks like with Mo Heyman here. The biggest race of Mo Heyman's career was against Nyquist. It was hyped up as the battle of undefeateds. Who was going to come out on top? Who was going to be the favorite when we head to Churchill Downs the first Saturday in May? Mohaymen didn't show up. He finished in 4th place. If Mohaymen had battled with Nyquist and got beat at the end and thought, okay, we're looking forward to the rematch, then I could see Mohaymen. But that race, for me, I look at it and say, that's the big race you have, and he finishes in 4th.
Yeah, but I see your point, guys. But my point is, it was a good going. He hates. We talked to, I believe, Levac. You guys have Andy Serling on your show today.
Yes, he'll be here today.
And they asked him about the muddy going. And he said it won't really play a factor in this race. I think it was a huge factor in that Florida Derby. I don't think Mohaymen liked the good going at all, and I don't think he showed up. So, yes, in my opinion, you take that race right out and go back to his other races. And by far, why is it after one race everybody was talking about this horse being the next big thing, and he goes out and has one bad race, and now he's not even going to be talked about? I don't know if I agree with that at all.
Well, that's horse racing, though, man. You're only as good as your last race for a lot of people. But with everybody we've talked to, with everybody, Gaz, of course, the producer, he goes out and I don't know if he has like blackmail information on the top horse guys, but like we get them all, Dan Zucker and everybody else coming on the show. I'm learning more and more about this race, and when I look at Mohaymen, that's definitely somebody I'm going to use, but I don't know if I think he's going to win. I really like Exaggerator. I love Kent DeSormo. I love the DeSormo connection. I like the 8-1 line. The other horse that like I'm going to maybe take a long shot on, and this is when you know you're a casual horse fan. Tom's Ready. Because Gaz's first name is Tom, and he's built like SpongeBob, who always goes, "I'm ready." So for that reason, Tom's Ready is going to be on my ticket somewhere, some shape, some form.
I like Levac's thought when it comes to Exaggerator, but Brian, as you know, it's been driving me insane the past few days because I feel like I'm criticizing Exaggerator for the wrong reasons. He continues to look great in the mud, and he wins in the mud. So my thought is, well, he's running in the mud, so he's not very good. Well, he's winning in the mud. Like, he's winning. It's not like he's getting blown away by people. He continues to win, but my thought process is because he hasn't run on a dry track, he's not a good horse. That doesn't make sense, but that's what my criticism is of it. But I look at Levac and I think, okay, that makes sense. I like Exaggerator, but the horse for me, Nyquist is the best horse going in, so I'm looking at Nyquist, but there's another horse that not a lot of people are talking about. It's Destin at number 9. Todd Pletcher, Javier Castellano. He's won 3 of the last 5 starts. His best race was at Tampa Bay, won the Tampa Bay Derby. The issue is that was 8 weeks ago. So he's had a huge layoff. Now you may say, okay, huge layoff. It's never happened in Kentucky Derby history. An 8-week layoff, a horse goes on to win. But we've seen time and time out again, especially the past 15 years, a 5-week layoff. Here's the horse that had a 5-week layoff and won the Derby. Barbaro, Big Brown, Mind That Bird, and Orb. Animal Kingdom, 2011, had a 6-week layoff and won the Derby. So if you understand your horse and you think it's going to be in the best shape and have a lot left in the tank for Churchill Downs, that's why I lean towards Destin here as a horse no one's talking about who I'm going to toss in some exactas and tries.
See, I agree with you that Destin can be a player here. I do agree that the layoff is a concern. My issue, if you watch that Tampa Bay Derby, is that his main competition didn't show up in that race. Mm-hmm. His main competition was Brody's Cause, who just didn't show up, was 15 lengths back as they turned for home. So I really don't think he beat too much in that race. But you can argue back at me by saying Brody's Cause then came back and won the Toyota Bluegrass at Keeneland and is now a player in this race, especially being drawn outside of both Nyquist and Mohaymen. My feeling in this race is that speed is going to hold up. So it hurts me as we talk about, seg right into the 2 Chad Brown horses, which, guys, me and you have talked about over the past few weeks as we looked over some of the preps. The wise guys have always said that My Man Sam is going to be the one out of the 2 Chad Brown entries that could show up and maybe, make your triples and exactas. I agree with them in that aspect. What are your feelings on the 2 Chad Brown horses?
I want to get behind it. I understand Chad Brown, especially at Saratoga. I feel like he was kicking my butt every weekend and say, hey, go after a Chad Brown horse, get on him. There's nothing that I've watched in these prep races that all of a sudden make me think that's a horse that I feel so confident in that I can't leave him off. I've never thought, okay, looking at this horse, he's going to maybe even blossom at the Kentucky Derby and really come out of his shell and make something. Levac brought this up earlier. In 20 horses, my confidence level for some of these horses that find this as being the race, because we don't know if it's going to be a bad bump out of the start or just get boxed in and can't move at that point. If this was a race where it was 11 to 12 horses, I would definitely understand that and think, okay, maybe a horse can find their spot and take off in this race. But a field of 20, I just can't see it happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of 20-1 horses in this. I mean, obviously, if you're going to take a stab at the 20-1s here, you're going to go with one of the two Chad Brown horses, maybe Whitmore because Victor Espinosa's on it. If I'm going to go 50-1, it's Trojan Nation. Just because I get to, well, he's in the one.
You're
he's
a
in
USC
the one slot.
fan, right?
Yeah, when he's in the one slot, his name is Trojan. He's going to bang across the rail a couple times, two, three times. I think he's tough enough. He can handle it. No, it's a great looking field because, to the point that you guys have been making a lot here, the odds are long on just about everybody except for Nyquist. Mm-hmm. You stand a really good chance of locking into some serious cash in this Derby. And let me be perfectly honest with everyone here. I don't care about horse racing except for when I get to cash my tickets. like Brody's Cause. It's great. It's for a charity. That's fantastic. It's 12-1. I like the odds. I might have to help that charity.
I could see Levac sitting there and being like, no, I like that name. That's cool. Yeah, Trojan Nation. That's cool. He's never won a race, but...
No, yeah, I mean, definitely. Names definitely factor in for me. Because let's be perfectly honest, you guys break all this down 6 ways from Sunday. How many races they did, how well they did, the weather conditions, the breeding, the jockey, the trainer. And as Gaz alluded to, maybe Mo Tom gets bumped early. And even though it should have been the perfect horse to win this race, or Nyquist should have been the perfect horse to win this race, something happens just a little bit out of left field. Luck plays a big part in this. So, my man Sam, I got a buddy named Sam. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like one of the biggest tickets I've ever cashed was on a horse called a Greater Alex, and it's because I had a dog named Alex.
There you go.
That's the only. It was 20-1, and I hit a triple with it.
It's like having Slambino back in Saratoga about 5 or 6 years ago.
Absolutely,
88-1.
Like Rachel Alexandra in Rachel Valentina, whatever, in the Oaks.
In the Oaks,
Okay. Well, you're related to Rachel Alexandra. Guess what I'm putting in the Oaks?
Yeah.
There's a lot of luck to it. I mean, obviously, your skill gives you more luck than I get.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more than just the name. But when I look at it, Mo Tom, I've heard, Gary Contessa come on the show and say, this is a horse to look at. The line doesn't make sense. Okay, so all your everything comes down to this. Vegas has done the homework on this, and they think that it's a better line than what you think it is. So maybe you bet it.
No, I agree, and especially you guys having Gary Contessa on, and it proves how
that he'll talk to anyone.
Well, yes, that's very true. But it proves to knowledge really is power when it comes to horse racing, because if you just look at that line, he's run 4th and 3rd, I believe, in his last 2 races. So it doesn't look like he's doing much, but he was knocked into the rail in both of those races. So I was talking to Gaz with this yesterday, too. I agree a lot of people are using that horse as one of their wise guy picks, but my issue with that is he hasn't proved that when he gets in tight between horses that he can make room for himself. Now you're running in a race with 20 horses. If he can't make his luck when there's 10 or 11 horses in the race, how is he going to do it when there's 20? So I understand Gary's point of view there because the horse has some bad luck in his past 2 races, but if he hasn't had luck there, I don't think he's going to get any here.
Yeah, Andy Serling did not back up that whole situation. By the way, Andy Serling basically laughed at it.
Yeah, Andy doesn't hold back though.
No, which is why we love him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had him on the show a few weeks ago, and he basically put me in my place in one of the talks we had about a filly named Songbird who was not running in the Kentucky Oaks because she came down with a fever in her previous start. So that opened that race wide open now. Okay, guys, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I don't know what bets you're making, but if I have $20 in my pocket, how am I going to the window and making money in the Derby on Saturday?
Oh, man. Just for perspective here, since 1997, the average payouts at the Derby, if you get an exacta, $2 exacta correct, your average get paid $981. If you get a $1 trifecta right, that's the top 3 horses in the race, your average payout in the last 20 years is $11,800. If you get the top 4 horses right, $99,000. So listen carefully to try to figure out somehow to do this. I'm hoping that this will be another year where we cash in.
Geez, you hit one of those guys, you'll buy a new house, right? Let alone rent for a few months.
I'm going to mug him.
He won't make it out of here alive.
Yeah, he's going to get medical bills.
If I'm limited to $20, I'm just going to go with a couple try boxes. So $1 try box, so that's a $6 bet. That's about $18. The try boxes I talked about the 9-horse Destin. I have him in a try box, 9, 13, 14. So Mohaymen gets tossed in there. If it ends up being a battle with Nyquist and Mohaymen, he's still in one of my boxes. 5, 13, 14. I toss Gun Runner in there because if Gun Runner can sit on the rail and wait and turn it on at the end, Gun and Runner can be in one of those tries. And then I have one that's kind of off the board. We'll see if it happens. 13, Nyquist. 9, Destin, a horse I like. And 8, Lonnie. I don't know why he's going in there. He's won some races before, but I want to get kind of crazy with one of these tries. Lonnie's look good. I toss him in a fun trifecta and see if he can hit and give me a nice payday. Those are my 3 $1 trifecta boxes. That's $18.
Going overseas with Lonnie there. That's an interesting choice. I like that. How about you, Levac?
Well, I mean, I haven't sat here and done all that I'm going to do, like exactly I'm going to do it. And I can tell you this right now, I will use far more than $20
well, no.
on my account.
I agree, but not a lot of us have the funds that you get because you get paid so much
because I have
here.
credit. I will tell you this. I fully intend to use my man Sam, Exaggerator, and Nyquist in whatever I do. You know, maybe they won't all be together in certain tickets, but those are the 3 I'm really watching. I can definitely see myself, peppering in some Mo Heyman here. There's so much, like Todd Pletcher without work. He doesn't have great luck, but who knows? I like I said, my biggest ones. I'm going my man Sam. I'm going Exaggerator. I'm going Nyquist. I think Exaggerator is the horse to win this race.
I like it. I'm going to do a simple dollar exacta box, and I'm going to take 5 horses, and none of them.
How many is that?
That's $20.
What?
Dollar exacta box, 5 horses.
Who makes the big monies now?
Hey now. Yeah, because I'm getting so much money from my boss.
Well, look at me. I'm not even your boss. I just go and argue for you once in a while. You get more money since I've been here than you did before.
Well, that's rather here nor there. But anyway, okay, I'm going to dollar exacta box. 14 Mo Heyman, 19 Brody's Cause, 11 Exaggerator, 17 More Spirit. I like that horse.
Okay.
Coming out of California, and he's going to be around for exactas and triples. I think he can score with a big price. And, of course, Chad Brown's number 6, my man Sam. So dollar exacta box, 11, 14, 17, 19, and 6 for a $20 bet.
No Nyquist in there.
No Nyquist.
You're playing more for value, or you don't like Nyquist?
I'm really playing for value because, in my opinion, I can't take a horse in the Kentucky Derby at less than 4-1.
How much value is there in losing?
$20 worth, apparently.
I just hate that. I always hate the people who are like, especially when you're going to do the exotics. You know what I mean? It's less than 4-1. I can't take it. Well, if you know it's going to hit the board.
I'll give you this. Gaz wrote a great article earlier this week on 1045theteam.com for the casual bettors. And he made a great point that over the last, I believe, 10 years or so, if you had $20 and you were just going to go play $20 to win on any horse, whatever it may be, you have a better chance of making more money because of what he told us in the $2 exactas, what the average payout has been, to play a dollar exacta with the horse you like and all underneath, which is a $19 wager, as opposed to just playing 20 to win. So, for example, if Nyquist does go off at his 3-1 morning line, he's going to pay $8.50. Okay. So for your $20 win, you're getting back $85.
Okay, which isn't bad.
It's not bad,
right?
No,
I will take this money.
If you think he's going to win the race, and you can throw him on top with everybody, and God forbid you get a Trojan Nation or a Lonnie or somebody at 40 or 50 to 1 to run second, that dollar exact is going to pay way more than $85.
You're looking at like $1,000.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
So if you're going to spend the $20, you might as well. If you like a horse and you have a strong opinion in this race, take that horse and throw him on top, and don't even try and handicap. Be like our, resident expert Tom Gozlowski over here, and not, handicap any horse second. Just take everyone and hope for a big score. So
which has worked for him. I just like I said, I love that logic. Like I pick on Andy Sterling for it sometimes too. Yep. Oh, the odds are too short. I can't take him. Like last year with American Pharoah.
Yep.
I'm not going to take it because the odds are too short. Yeah, but he's going to win. And he's like, True. well, yeah, but you're not going to make any money. Well, how much are you going to make when you don't win? Like that's just your casual dude who just gambles on football coming to the world of horse racing. That's all that is.
Right. So taking it this way, we'll go right into a sports analogy. So now the Cubs are the best team in baseball.
Right.
Not even close. They're the
White Sox might have an argument there.
Okay. So right now they're 5-1.
I just like tripping them up
to win the World Series.
Right.
You love doing that, don't you?
It is fun.
So they're 5-1 to win the World Series. The Yankees are 27.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go different because you're a Yankee fan. How about we'll go with the Diamondbacks? I believe they're 15-1.
Okay.
Are you going to take the Diamondbacks at 15-1, or are you going to take the Cubs at 5-1?
I want to win. I'm going to take the Cubs.
But I'm not guaranteeing you they're going to win.
I like my chances better than Diamondbacks. I mean, I'll look through there. I'll look for a longer set of odds that could possibly make me more. Like maybe I'll take the Mets or the Nationals, which is a little. Well, actually, I think the Nationals.
They're 8-1, I believe.
Yeah, they're right there. I'm still like, for me, my number one goal is to get that W.
Yep.
And then if I make $2 on the win, great. If I can get that W and make $200, that's even better. But I want that W first.
Yeah, but you can get a W, and knowing how much you play on the horses, you still might not make any money. So
I don't know
we'll
what
see
you're
from there.
talking about.
Listen, I've been to the track a few times with you. I know how that works out.
Yeah, and it's when I'm not listening to you, I do fine. No, it's kidding. We had a good run that one day.
Absolutely. After the track this past year. Yep.
Yeah, and then Gaz got there.
Yeah, I didn't do so well. One of our former producers killed it that one day.
Yeah, who didn't even know what boxing meant.
Well, yeah, that's another thing you mentioned in your article, Gaz, was that the art of boxing horses. It can be a little more expensive.
You got to watch out. They get one good hoof in, it's over.
Oh my God.
What?
Why? I don't know how I agreed to have you on this podcast.
You asked me.
Oh my goodness.
I was sitting here minding my business.
I've made many mistakes in my life, and this might be up there with one of them.
Just explain what a box is if it is a casual horse
so if you're playing a
listening.
casual fan,
and make sure it's not what Levesque thinks it is. Yeah.
You could play $1 exacta on 3 horses or 2 horses. Let's say if it's $1 exacta and you box it, it means it can come in both first and second, or obviously if it's 13 and 10, it can come in 13, 10, or 10 and 13, and you still win. As opposed to our former producer, Dubs, who played a $3 triple straight and hit it for $400.
Yeah.
And I still don't believe him to this day that he hit it, but I'm assuming his girlfriend probably took it anyway.
I saw the ticket. It was real. And then later, what made it more offensive to me, who knows very little but knows more than that, what do you guys keep talking about with boxing the bet? Like, I'm like, dude, you won that straight? Because I told him, I go 3, 4, 5 trifecta box.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And he came back with 3, 4, 5, and it actually came in an order.
Yep.
Like, the odds are ridiculous. Like, so the rest of us are thrilled because we won, $1 on it. We won like $100 each.
Yeah. I think
he
we
won
each
like
$400
on it. Ridiculous.
And we're the idiots with our noses stuck in the program, and he's just walking around drinking mint juleps and whatever he's drinking now.
My nose is definitely stuck in the mac and cheese truck. I don't know about the boxing.
Man, okay.
Get ready for toga, baby!
It's almost toga season. Guys, I appreciate you joining the podcast. I'm going to kick you out, though. TVG's horse racing analyst, Todd Schrupp, is going to join me. He's going to talk everything you need to know about the Kentucky Derby and hopefully pick some winners, because obviously we didn't do that in the last 20 minutes. Guys, thanks for joining me.
I was just boxing a horse.
1045 The Team, 1045theteam.com. Paddock Pass here, joined by horse racing analyst from TVG on the phone live from Churchill Downs, Todd Schrupp. Todd, thank you for joining us, man.
Brian, always good to be with you.
We're coming off a year where we saw the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years. How are you seeing that take effect in this year's Derby? Set the scene for us.
Well, it's more wide open. There was a period of time, you go back to Mind That Bird, going back about 8 years ago now, hard to believe, where there was a series of derbies where it was total chaos. Maybe you can even go back to Giacomo in 2005. And what American Pharoah brought around is predictability. Last year's Triple Crown, not only was it predictable that American Pharoah was the best of his generation, and he was the horse to beat in the Derby, he was the horse to beat in the Preakness, and then, as you said, that historic sweep in the Triple Crown. But even the results that happened in behind American Pharoah last year were fairly predictable. This year's Kentucky Derby is the exact opposite. We've done a 180 coming into this year, in which we have a field of 20 where literally more than half the field has a chance to win this year. So I think we're going to resume that trend of chaos, unlike last year.
There's been a lot of rain early in the week there at Churchill Downs. Do you expect that to play a factor at all on Saturday?
No, look, the weather in Kentucky, probably more than anywhere else, as they're fond of saying here, if you don't like the weather, stick around. In 10 minutes, it'll be different. You can't always put solid predictions on it, but we're going to be fine, especially looking at this Friday. It is cleared out. It is gorgeous down here. Saturday, the real issue is probably going to be the temperatures, which are going to push past 85 degrees, and you're going to really have to watch how these horses are handling the environment. You're going to have a crush of people here, number one. You're going to have rising temperatures. And look, thoroughbred athletes do their best running when the temperatures are on the cool side. But you bring in the crush of the crowd. You bring in a unique paddock that some horses will have difficulty handling. There are going to be a couple of horses in that 20-horse field who are going to lose their chance at winning the race before they even move into the starting gate. So watching the warm-ups and what happens in the paddock is going to be key here on Saturday. But as far as the racetrack and how it's going to be, expect a fast track and expect to have perfect conditions.
Todd Schrupp, horse racing analyst from TVG. You can follow him on Twitter at Todd Schrupp TVG. Now, Todd, Mohaymen and a few other horses have been training lights out so far at Churchill. How much do you actually put into the works when you're handicapping the Derby?
Here's the thing, and I hate to say this because TVG was the innovator with following the workouts. The first year that TVG came to the Kentucky Derby was with Fusaichi Pegasus back in 2000. And essentially, Fusaichi Pegasus went on to win as the favorite, but there was a dramatic moment when we were covering the workouts in the morning where he rolled over, and it became a huge story. And people wouldn't have seen that in the past without TVG. But he overcame that, and he went on to win. But the lesson being is that a horse could be a bad actor in the morning, have a terrible week at Churchill Downs, but if they run their race on that particular afternoon on Saturday, all is forgotten about. So I think what's happened is now that people have seen what happens with the morning workouts, they almost put too much emphasis on it. They give too much emphasis to a horse like Mohaymen, who's working great in the mornings, but is coming off an absolute tank job in the Florida Derby. The bottom line is, if your horse has the ability to win the race, that's the most important thing. They may look great in the mornings, but if they don't have the ability to win anyway, what does it matter? And another thing that was kind of driven home to me about preparations leading up to the Kentucky Derby was with Hall of Fame rider Gary Stevens. He said the track itself not only changes from the week where horses prepare, but on the day of the race, it will change race to race to race. So a track that you might have in race number 3 will be vastly different on Saturday in race number 12 when they run the Kentucky Derby. So I try to temper enthusiasm with workouts. Mohaymen was one of the top 3-year-olds to start the year. Granted, he's had one bad race. He's looked great in the mornings. But I think you have to honestly ask yourself, okay, he's working great in the mornings, but is Mohaymen truly a horse that you think is the best of this 3-year-old crop? I think that's the most important question. But you're right. He's been doing well in the mornings. There's a lot of other horses, good stories. Not a lot of bad stories emanating out of the morning workouts. But I would just tell people, temper your enthusiasm about the morning workouts. At the end of the day, is your horse good enough to win this race? That's the prevailing question.
Now, Todd, we're lucky enough to be so close to Saratoga with that meet coming in a few months. We also have a local trainer from Mechanicville, Chad Brown. He sends out 2 in the Derby, and My Man Sam and Shaggoff. Do you give either of them a chance to wear the roses on Saturday?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Chad Brown because he's a rising star in thoroughbred racing, and it's no surprise, first of all, his formal education with his background, but his biggest education came up under Bobby Frankel, who the late Bobby Frankel, most would agree, is one of the best trainers American thoroughbred racing has ever had. So Chad Brown has learned under the best. He's also kind of shaken the mantle of primarily a turf trainer. He's trained a lot of turf champions. I think this year, deservedly so, he's going to get more attention because of the horses that he has in the Kentucky Derby for his ability to train outside of the grass division. As far as Shaggoff, he had a big reputation down in South Florida at Gulfstream Park. I was on site when he won his allowance race after his maiden win, and I didn't walk away with the impression everyone else had. It wasn't a surprise to me that he struggled last time out in the Wood Memorial, and I just don't think he's up to the task. As far as the other Chad Brown horse, My Man Sam, that is the horse that I think a lot of the quote-unquote wise guys are going to be pointing towards, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with anyone who liked My Man Sam. I thought his effort last time out in the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland, I was there for it. He drew post position 14 in that field of 14, which is clearly difficult to overcome. He had been racing at the Inner Dirt meet at Aqueduct. He had been pretty good up there, but that was a huge test to come down to Keeneland and run the race that he did. I thought that was a perfect setup for what he's going to face in the Kentucky Derby. Of the 2 Chad Brown horses, if one of them gets it done, it'll be My Man Sam at a big price.
Sitting there Wednesday watching the draw, as I watched, I noticed that both speed horses drew towards the outside. How do you feel that will affect Derby favorite Nyquist?
Don't go to sleep on Danzig Candy. Danzig Candy, the horse you're talking about, drew post position 20. And Doug O'Neill, trainer of Nyquist, came out, and a lot of other trainers felt, okay, well, that forces his hand. He's really going to have to work hard from post position 20 to get the lead. In fact, Doug O'Neill took it a step further and said, well, maybe Nyquist could now find himself on the lead. Maybe some of this is just Doug O'Neill playing possum and putting some thoughts into other connections' heads. But I believe at the end of the day, Danzig Candy, no matter where he drew, was going to get the lead in this race. Danzig Candy, to me, is a horse that's going to stick around a lot longer than people will give him credit for. Danzig Candy, I want you to think about what he was trying to do. He broke his maiden, went to an allowance win, then won a graded stakes race. He came into the Santa Anita Derby on a 3-race win streak. For him to go from maiden win to Santa Anita Derby winner and 4 starts on a 4-race consecutive win streak would have been remarkable and would have made him one of the solid favorites in this race. I'm not concerned about what happened to him in the Santa Anita Derby. He got cooked in a speed duel that day. I also believe that he was just kind of due for a race where he would regress. Danzig Candy drawn to the outside. Yes, the other connections may be happy with that, but I think he's a horse to be reckoned with at a price, and he's absolutely going to dictate the outcome of this race. One other thing I would say about Danzig Candy and his effect on the pace of this race is the fact that Mike Smith stuck with him, especially after that disappointing effort last time out in the Santa Anita Derby. And I knew firsthand that Mike Smith was being offered other Derby horses, but he ultimately went with this one. Danzig Candy is not only the pace of the race, but I think he's a serious threat as a long shot on the lead.
Todd Schrupp, horse racing analyst from TVG. Now, Todd, Exaggerator's been getting a lot of buzz after his big win in the Santa Anita Derby, as you were talking about with Danzig Candy setting that pace. I'm not really convinced, considering both of his bigger wins have been over the off-going. Am I crazy for not buying into this horse?
Here's the thing. I understand your logic, and I've heard that mantra repeated over and over by a number of really good handicappers like yourself. I'm going to still believe. You're right. The setup in the Santa Anita Derby was great, both the pace and maybe the racetrack. But the move that he made is the move that consistently over the years wins the Kentucky Derby. It's that huge burst for an eighth of a mile, or to put it in parlance that other people understand, an eighth of a mile in horse racing is 220 yards. So it's a 220-yard burst that is taking place midway on the far turn, the last turn of the race, and then that horse assumes the lead at the top of the stretch. And then as long as the stretch may be here at Churchill Downs, very often you don't see someone getting past late. So the move that he made in the Santa Anita Derby, Exaggerator, is the move that can win the Kentucky Derby. It's also a move that I don't think he needs a sloppy or muddy racetrack to replicate. I love the move he made in the Santa Anita Derby, so I'm not selling him short. I get your concerns, and I could see where on the surface they might be well-founded, but at the end of the day, I think he's got the move that could absolutely win the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, Todd, it's that time. It's time to put you on the spot. Who is wearing the roses and the winner of the 142nd Kentucky Derby?
God, this is where the hard part of the interview comes up. Well, it is a chaotic year this year. The bottom line to handicapping the Kentucky Derby is assessing where the stronger races took place throughout the year. Nyquist comes in undefeated. I keep selling him short, but I didn't like the way he got out in the Florida Derby. He's done nothing wrong, obviously, with his perfect record coming in. He also represents what I thought was a stronger region this year in California. He was the best out there. But not only did he go to the Florida Derby for $1 million bonus, a lot of people felt he was getting out of California because of the rise of other 3-year-olds out there like Exaggerator and Danzig Candy. I think the Louisiana Derby was strong this year. The Arkansas Derby did not have a great field. I thought had a pretty nice winner and creator. The Wood Memorial, unfortunately for your New York fans, it was not a good race. You almost had an upset winner there who was a maiden in Trojan Nation. I don't see the winner coming out of New York this year. So I kept my focus on what took place in California and what took place in Louisiana this year. And what took place in California, because I'm going to play against Nyquist, is Exaggerator is a horse that's improved so dramatically that he would have to be my top pick. Danzig Candy is the overlooked horse this year. It's a soft pace. I've talked to a lot of connections, even the connections of a horse like Creator, who likes to launch from far back. They're very worried about a soft pace this year, and that's why I think Danzig Candy will go a lot further than people expect. As far as the Louisiana Derby, the winner Gun Runner was a very nice horse, but the most troubled horse in the race was Mo Tom, who had a very troubled fourth-place finish. I'm very close to his trainer, Tom Amos, and he said of all the horses that he's brought over here, this is the first year that he feels in his career he's got an excellent chance to win the race. Mo Tom also happens to be owned by Tom and Gail Benson, who own the New Orleans Saints as well as the New Orleans Pelicans, so they might be dancing with an umbrella after the race. Mark me down with Exaggerator, Danzig Candy, and then a look at the Louisiana Derby horses with Mo Tom and Gun Runner.
Todd Schrupp, horse racing analyst from TVG, joining us from Churchill Downs. You can follow him again at Todd Schrupp, TVG. Todd, thanks for taking the time, man. I really appreciate your insight.
Well, Brian, you're obviously very well up on the sport, so I appreciate to be able to talk with someone who appreciates it as much as I do.